Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. It's been a year. It's literally been a year since I made a video, but I'm back. I will talk about that in another video. Today we are talking about presets. More specifically, we're talking about the V3 preset pack from my friend Chris Hau. Over the last 2 months, I've been fortunate enough to try it out, and I can honestly say these are the best presets that I've ever used, and they have honestly saved a lot of my photos that I sort of thought were lost. Now, if you're not aware who Chris Hau is, since you're on YouTube, pause this video, go type in Chris Hau and learn a lot of cool things. So if you just want a quick breakdown, Chris is a director, photographer, filmmaker, producer, editor, sort of name anything and he's probably doing it, but definitely go take some time to check him out during or after this video. So this video is going to be broken down into 2 parts. I just want to touch on a couple things about who presets are for, why you should use them, and how you use them. And the second part is I'm going to be editing 5 photos using some of these presets just to help you further understand the process of working with presets. Now let's talk about presets. What is a preset? A preset is essentially a filter. Think about if you posted a photo on Instagram and you went to edit it and you have the options like Claridon and Reyes and Lark and Moon and Juno and literally any name you could think of, there's probably an Instagram filter for it. Presets are sort of like that, but much more powerful, and creators use them to create their own style and look that really helps them stand out in the creative community. A lot of creators will create these preset packs to sell to the people that are sort of inspired by them and want to learn how to edit like them and edit different styles for themselves. As I mentioned, presets are used in Lightroom, and typically when you shoot a photo, you'll shoot it in a raw format, and that allows you the most data to mess around with and sort of get your own style and come up with your own look by tweaking each individual piece of data in Lightroom. You can change things like the exposure, the contrast, the saturation, the vibrance, whites, blacks, shadows, highlights, clarity, texture, sort of just anything to come up with whatever look you desire. That brings me to the second point that I want to talk about, and that's value. I think the value of these presets are quite high. There's 16 presets, and the way I've broken it down is that's sort of 16 different opportunities to learn something new when it comes to photo editing. Lightroom can be just about the scariest place ever. Besides all the basic stuff, you have tone curves, color grading wheels, HSL sliders, color calibration, gradient filters, radial filters, brushes. There's just a whole lot going on, and sometimes it's just like, it's really easy to get lost. So as I mentioned, Chris made 16 presets, and each preset is tweaked so minorly that the difference becomes major on the photo. And I think that's really important because it allows you to go into these presets and start tweaking them to see just how he created that look, and it really helps you understand just by working with them. The coolest part about it is you can take these presets and learn from them and maybe pick up on things and combine different things and come up with your own look, which is sort of what I've been doing over the last 2 months with these presets. And before we get into the editing part, that brings me to my last point, and that's usability. When you're using any sort of preset, I think it's important to remember that there's sort of a base. You can put a preset on and it may look good, but most times you'll put a preset on and it needs work. It's a base to get to that look that you desire. When you put on a preset, you're going to want to try a few things. Slide around the white balance to get it where you need to be. Slide around the shadows and the highlights. Slide around the contrast, the exposure. Start with those basic parts of it and sliding those around, and then start diving into the HSL sliders, the tone curves, and the color grading wheels. By the end of it, you might come to a point where you start to understand it so well that you can actually go out and shoot with these presets in mind because you know how they're going to look later on when you go to edit it. Maybe you shoot a little bit lighter, maybe you shoot a little bit darker, and you're going to be able to nail down that look that you want. So let's get into the editing section. I have 5 photos I'm going to go through. I'm going to be using 5 of the 16 presets, and I'm just going to show you how I work with them and the work that you need to do after applying them in order to get the look that you want. All right, so before we get started, one thing, my computer sounds like it's going to blow up, so I'm going to just go through 3 images or else I don't think it's going to be able to handle it. And then what I'm going to do afterwards is share some before and afters, along with what preset I used to show you the difference that they've made in my editing style over the last 2 months. Second thing, when I'm going through the presets, I'm not going to show you the exact settings for the presets because obviously these are Chris's that he spent a lot of time and hard work making, and so if you see the settings, then you could just copy them and do it yourself. If you purchase them, obviously you'll see them, but I'm not going to be just showing you everything. I'll just show you the tweaks that I make after applying the preset. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first shot that we have here is one that I shot of Tent Ridge in Kananaskis country. Probably one of my favorite shots. Super clean, super simple. just missing a little something, and it's another one of the shots I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So basically all I do when I come into Lightroom is bring the photo in, and then I sort of just run down the presets that he's got, find out what's going to work best for this image or whatever image I'm editing. After running through them, I know that the earthy vibe is sort of what I'm looking for. All the highlights are still really good and clean, and it gives this nice soft glow to the mountain, but darkens all the trees below, which I really like because it kind of separates the image a little bit. And the dark to light sort of draws your eyes to the mountains and that lake right there. So all I'm going to do with this, fairly simple. I'll go into the basic settings. I'm going to drop the highlights to keep the detail in the sky. I'm going to bring the shadows up quite a lot. Now you'll see when I bring the shadows up that it's going to sort of make these trees really harsh and overexposed. So I'm going to go down to the HSL slider, go to luminance, and I'm going to figure out what color the trees are. Typically yellow, maybe orange, sometimes green. And I'm just going to drop the luminance so that it sort of like kills the harsh sharpness of the trees. I'm going to go back up to the basic sliders. Probably going to bump the exposure up a little bit like that. And then I'm going to finish it off by adding a gradient filter at the bottom to darken it, really keep those shadows down there in the trees dark, and hopefully that causes whoever's looking at the image to draw their eyes from the bottom to the top of the image. And that's really all I'm going to do for that one. If I wanted to, I might take it into Photoshop and drop a little bit of blue back into the lake, but right now it looks kind of silvery and nice, and I really like that. So if you follow me, I shoot a lot in the mountains, but recently I moved to the city and I've been trying a lot of different stuff, shooting around. The other day I was out with some friends and I shot this portrait of Danielle sitting on this old Mercedes, which I think is really cool. Now I really like this shot because it came out super clean, and working with these presets for the last 2 months, I know which one was going to work well on this, so I sort of exposed the image the way I wanted to because I knew how the preset could look after applying it, and that it would only require some minor tweaks afterwards. So same thing, bring it into Lightroom, run through all of the options in terms of presets, and I know for this one that I'm going to land on the vintage vibe. And so honestly, right away, I'd be pretty happy with this photo. I'm not going to lie, I really like how it turned out, but for sake of the editing video, what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the temperature a little bit, add some warmth back into her skin tones, and then we're going to go to the gradient filter. We're going to pull that up, and again we're going to darken the bottom of the image. So once again, the goal is to darken the bottom of the image, draw the eyes, and keep them sort of focused on her, and this is the image that we're left with. So that photo, for example, is one that I know doesn't require a lot of work. That's one where you could drop a preset on and you're basically good to go. But like I mentioned, it is because I've been working with these for the last 2 months. I shot this photo with some purpose, and this is the end result. So the last photo we're going to look at is one that I actually took of Chris when I met him 2 years ago, and I had the chance to shoot with him and hang out with him. Not only was this a really cool moment because this was sort of the moment where I realized like this was possible and I could do this for a living and a career, and it was really cool, but also it's from my favorite view in Banff. Chris looking like a total badass. And again, bring it into Lightroom, scroll down, and for this one we're going to go with the Scarlet Vibe. So this one sort of keeps the highlights bright but keeps the detail in them. It adds that soft glow to the mountain peaks, as you can see, and then it really darkens the bottom of the image. So again, I'm going to drop the highlights. I'm going to bring up the shadows. I'm going to go into the temperature and I'm going to bring it up a little bit so it sort of evens it out. Just bring up the shadows again. So we'll bring up the luminance, brighten up the face a little bit. And honestly, to me, that looks pretty good. Super clean, super simple. And yeah, that's all it takes to sort of really change your images. So, final thoughts. Are the presets worth it? 100% yes, they are the best presets I've ever used. The reason I say that is because there's 16 of them, and that's 16 different opportunities to look at these presets, break them down, and understand what you're doing to your image when you make these little tweaks, whether it's in the basic sliders or the tone curve or the color grading wheels or the color calibration. Having such minor tweaks, you're able to break that all down, and it really helps you understand it a lot better. I think by using a well-made preset pack, you'll be able to sooner develop your own style and come up with how you want to edit in the future. So once again, thank you, Chris, for giving me the opportunity to try these out. I'm going to continue to use them and create my own style as I continue to edit and get better at it. And thank you to everybody that watched the video today. I promise there's more to come, like full edit breakdowns of some of the photos I've shared in the past, as well as some more vlog style and just different types of videos that I can think of now that I live in the city. So again, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to leave you with some other photos that I've edited over the past 2 months with the preset pack from Chris Hau.